Hey, hi, hello, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Shannon and today I am bringing you my best and worst books of 2021. Happy New Year! This is coming out in the new year and not the end of the year because I was in isolation for the most of the end of the year. So this is the first time that I've been able to get around my filming equipment. So it's been a fun time, let me tell you. Um, yeah, but I just wanted to pop on and do this video because I always love watching people's best and worsts. So I think I'm going to start with the worst because there's less of them. And it's always good to start with the bad and then end on the good because you end on a good note, I think. And I do not own any of the worst books I read this year because I either unhauled them or did not own them in the first place. And kicking it off with number 5 of the worst of the year is A Simple Favor by Darcy Bell, I believe. I was so hyped to read this because the film was great. The film with Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively was amazing, but this book just didn't live up to the film. I felt like the characters were 2D and the film kind of brought this like kind of French, kind of like artistic feel to it, whereas the book didn't bring any of that. And I feel like I was sorely let down because I watched the film before I read the book. Maybe if I read the book first, I would have different opinions, but unfortunately, I did not like this. It was 2D characters, brought nothing new to the story, and I enjoyed the film much more. So if you want to consume this story, I really highly recommend the film. Ditch the book, leave it, just, it's okay. The next book was Good Me, Bad Me by Ali Land, and this was okay. I did enjoy this. It was a middle of the road read. I have very little thoughts actually on the book. I enjoyed the writing style. I enjoyed the way the story was told. But apart from that, the characters were average. The story was average. Like, there was nothing that actually stuck out to me in this book at all. And I just think that it was kind of a waste of time, which seems like a bad thing to say. I am glad I read it and got it off my shelves, but I wouldn't really recommend this to anyone, and I kind of wish I picked up another book because this book counted towards my goal, but it was not. Well, to be honest, that's the same with all these books. They all counted towards my goal, but these 5, I wish I swapped out for better books. The next book is After We Fell by Anna Todd. I do actually still own this, but it's behind me and I'm not getting up to get it. This book does not deserve it. I was so angry with this book because, like, even though the After series is something that I've enjoyed reading for the drama and the kind of vibe that it gives off, it is by no means a phenomenal read. But this one in particular, there was an assault scene that did not need to be there. It came out of nowhere. It was there for shock value. Like, this scene was literally made me so angry because it was only put in there for shock value. Like, it didn't really do anything for the plot, and I really didn't like that. Also, like, you've got to take this series with a pinch of salt anyway, but the whole this is 800 page and all they do is fight and then this assault happens, like, no, it's not it. It's not it. We don't appreciate that here. Not it. The next book is Close Your Eyes, and I read this for a video that never actually went up. I did not enjoy this book. The thing is I get what this book was trying to do because this book centers around a school shooting. I expect really emotional responses, and this book didn't do that. And I think that's why it was on such a low down number on my list, because when I'm reading about something that's so emotional, I want to feel emotional, and this book didn't do that for me. I felt nothing. I felt bad, but I felt nothing that the characters were feeling or the tenseness of the situation. I just don't think it worked for me. I don't think it worked for the genre that it was in. I think that it was not enough, which sounds strange, but it just wasn't enough. It didn't go not into detail as in like the horrible event, but like with the characters, with the way they were feeling. It didn't go into detail about how they were feeling, it just went into detail about what was happening. And I felt like it was a really sore spot to be like, this characters are going through all these really bad things, but they're not going to tell you or show you how they feel, they're just going to tell you what's happening next. And it just, no, I just didn't enjoy it. It didn't do what it intended to do for me. And the final number one top spot of the worst book I read this year goes to The Cousins by Karen M. McManus. This book, I have such a hard time with this author. I've loved a book, I've hated a book, I enjoyed a book, and then again I've hated a book. I find this author really hard to mesh with, and I don't know why. So this book just didn't do it for me. There's like this weird incestual kind of thing that grows out of it, and there's like none of the characters are really likable, and I don't need to like a character to enjoy a book, but in this book it was just so meh, like literally meh. I read this at the start of the year and I can tell you maybe 2 things about the plot. Can tell you none of the characters' names. I did not enjoy this. I was this close to DNFing it, but I thought, well, it's a 300-page book, Shannon. You've got 60 pages left. There's no point. I wish I DNF'd it. I wish I just left it. Forcing myself to read that last 60 pages was a chore. And I don't know if I'm going to pick up anything from this author again, because it feels to me, unfortunately, like it's been a one-hit wonder, and the rest of the books are just not doing it for me. So yes, my worst book of the year goes to The Cousins by Karen M. McManus. Unfortunately. I'm sorry if you enjoyed any of these books. This is my own personal opinion, and I'm glad if you did enjoy these books, but to me they sucked. And that's okay, because we're all friends here, we're all readers here, and if you enjoyed these books, then I am very happy for you. I just didn't. And then the bit that I enjoy the most is talking about my favourite books of the year. I have 7 favourite books for 2021, which seems like a really weird number, but I only gave out 9 5-stars this year, and when I went back to look at all of the books, I realised that not all of them were actually 5 stars, and not all of them stuck in my head as favourites. Kicking off with number 7 is Dear Ava, and I picked this up on a Chandler Ainsley recommendation, and I really enjoyed this book. The emotion that this book brought, it brought me back to when I first discovered romances and first got into that genre, and I relived it with this book. I enjoyed the characters, the plot. Everything about this was hard-hitting, but also romantic, but also dramatic. It was what I needed when I needed it. So when I picked it up and flew through it in like a day, this became my favourite for me this year. And I'm interested in more of the author's work, because this book was really great. Coming in at number 6, we have Take a Hint, Danny Brown by Talia Hibbert. This was a surprise to me. I read Get a Life, Chloe Brown. I enjoyed it. It was 4 stars. This one is the one where it's at. Talia Hibbert is really funny, and the writing in this book is really funny, which I think upped my enjoyment, because I don't normally laugh at books, but this one had me laughing. Also, the characters, like, oh, the love, the romance in this, like, oh, it's just amazing. Like, Danny and Zafir in this relationship, also kind of anxious, also kind of, one of them's introverted, one of them's like, it just works. It just works. And I get why everyone raves about this, because for me this is the best one so far. I still have to read Eve Brown, but this is on the 6th spot of my favorites because of how good the romance and the comedy was, which is not something I read very often, so I'm so happy that I decided to pick this up. Coming in at number 5, we have Serpent and Dove by Shelby Mahurin. I read this for Becca's Bookoplathon. I think it was the 48-hour version, and I read this in like a day and a half. I flew through this, loved the characters, loved the world. Lou and Reed are just, I don't know, like a witch and a priest, and they're meant to be enemies, but like not enemies at the same time. This just done it for me, and I'm so excited to move on to the sequel. I absolutely adored the characters in here, adored the plot. Also, the ending was really good, which makes me want to just jump into the sequel. I just enjoyed the world and the writing, and I really enjoyed this book and the characters. So yeah, Serpent and Dove. Coming in at number 5, we have Kingdom of the Wicked by Carrie Maniscalco. I read this and just fell in love with it. I fell in love with the characters, I fell in love with the storyline, the writing. I cannot wait for the sequel. I actually bought the sequel on my Kindle because technically I'm now on a book buying ban. So I actually have the sequel to this one and cannot wait to jump back into this world. I think I'm going to maybe reread this before I jump into the sequel, because I read this at the start of the year and I'm starting to forget some plot points. I remember the major plot points and the major character moments, but I'm finding it hard to remember the last couple of scenes, which is annoying. But because I read this at the start of the year, it's not surprising. So maybe I will reread this and read the sequel for a vlog. But yeah, this was a favourite, so I have high hopes that the sequel will be a favourite also. Maybe, I don't know. Subscribe, stick around. I will read this, read the sequel, and tell you my thoughts. Maybe the sequel will be in my 2022 favourites. Coming in at number 3, I have here Felix Ever After by Karen Calendar. I actually have a vlog for this. I will post, if I have vlogs, I will post them down below so you can watch as I read. This book, this book, I tell you, like, Felix is my best friend. I want him to be my best friend. I want to be in this friend group. Like, this story was just so powerful. It was a coming of age story, a coming out story, a finding your identity story. This was the kind of books that I wish were in school when I was in school. It's just so raw, but also real. And I wish that more people had the opportunity to read this back when I was in school. And now that work's getting taken out in the young adult genre like this, it makes my heart so happy. It makes my heart so happy. And I just loved being with these characters, and I will read anything that Karen Calendar takes out. So hopefully anticipated book will come out by this author and I will love it just as much as Felix. And coming in at number 2, I have From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I have a vlog for this. I actually have a dedicated playlist because I'm going to read these books in a vlog each. And I loved this. Absolutely loved this. It was exactly what I needed. It gave me kind of like Sarah J. Maas vibes without being Sarah J. Maas, of course. This is about vampires, but the world and the way the romance unfolds kind of gave me like the feeling that I get when I read kind of Sarah J. Maas's work, and I absolutely adored this. A little spoiler for my next video, which will be surprising and disappointing. The sequel to this was disappointing for me. I still have the 3rd book to read, but so far the 1st book is the only favourite in the series. Maybe the 3rd book might be a favourite, but the 2nd book definitely wasn't it. This, however, was it, and I want to be Poppy's best friend. I want her to train me, and I want to be a badass like her. So, like, yes. And the final book, that is my top book of 2021. I was about to say 2022 there, not yet, Shannon. Jeez. My top book for 2021 should come as no surprise. I think this is going to be a lot of people's top book. For me, it is A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. Of course it is. I love this world, love this series. It's my favourite series of all time. Love the characters. I loved getting to know Nesta again and getting to know Cassian in a new light. This just highly done it for me. I absolutely love this book. I love this series. Like, I have a hard time believing that any year Sarah J. Maas takes out a book, it won't be in my favourites list. Because I'm just trash for Sarah J. Maas, and that's okay. I'm fine with that. This is my top book of the year, and I am so happy when a Sarah J. Maas book gets released because it kind of has an honourable spot on my top favourites, but I have a hard time believing that one will never make it, you know? So yes, my top book of the year is A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas, and I kind of just want to go reread it, but I can't because I'm rereading Crescent City this month in hopes that Crescent City 2 will be just as good as the first. I'm calling it now that Crescent City 2 will probably be on my favourites of 2022. I can't see it any other way. If not, then I've put my foot in my mouth, but also I will be highly, highly surprised if it's not. So here we have it. This is my top 7 books of the year, including Dear Ava, which I don't own physically. I say this is a pretty good looking stack. I had so much fun this year with my reading. I'm going to put this down because this is an arm workout and a half. I am so happy this year that I decided to bite the bullet and make a booktube YouTube. I have wanted to for so long, and I finally just plucked up the courage and done it, which I'm happy with. And this is my first best and worst I've ever done on YouTube, so I am so happy you watched this. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, it helps me out, and I shall see you in my next video, which will be surprising and most disappointing. So if you're interested, stick around, and that is all I have for you. Stay safe, happy and healthy, and I shall see you next time. Bye.
Pack up my summer in a Ziploc bag. Old maps and tchotchkes, photographs at this and that. I'll write myself a letter so that I'll remember